And staff, I see that we have quorum, and I call this regular meeting of the Town of Pelham Committee of the Whole to order. The first item is the agenda for January 13th. Are there any additions or changes? It's been moved by Councillor Ribbiak, seconded by Councillor Durley. Any changes to that agenda? Or there being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. The next item is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Do any members have any pecuniary interest they need to disclose at this time? There is no interest. Can that be so noted, please? Thank you. The next item is department reports. The first is corporate services, and we have the permissive grant evaluation results and recommendations. It has been moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor Kersey, that the issue sheet for agenda permissive grant evaluation results and recommendations be received, and that a recommendation contained therein be approved as follows. The Committee of the Whole recommend to Council that the following permissive grant allocations be considered as part of the 2014 operating budget. Pelham Cares, $17,600. Women's Place, $4,000. United Way of South Niagara, $2,550. And the Child Advocacy Center, $1,500, for a total of $25,650. And the Council waived the fee in 2014 for the use of the Pelham Arena for the purpose of holding an art festival to be delivered by the Pelham Art Festival. Discussion. Councillor Ribbiak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is with regard to the funding providing to Pelham Cares. Pelham Cares is a wonderful organization, does great work. Part of the evidence that it is a successful organization, what it does is, of course, that it is in the process of purchasing property and establishing for itself a permanent home. So I just want some clarity around the relationship between the permissive grant that we are considering providing today and the restriction within the permissive grant program around capital projects. The purchase of a building and the establishment of a home, of course, is capital. I'm concerned, I guess, about the optics of this. We want to provide, according to my reading of the policy with regard to permissive grants, something that goes directly into the community. And I just want to know how the $17,600 that we're proposing to provide is in fact directly for the use of our population, or is some of that contributing to the surplus that is going into the purchase, or some of this going into the purchase. I just want to know how all that works out.
Thank you. Madam Treasurer, I think you
through you, Mr. Mayor. Part of the process for the evaluation and the criteria was to contact Pelham Cares and specifically discuss those items. It was made very clear to us that this is for the delivery of programs and services that they provide, which is rides to medical health facilities and treatments that they might need, and also for families that are in need of sponsorship for some recreational programs and food baskets and hampers that they've made. They have confirmed with me that 100% of the funding that we give them is for Pelham residents. On occasion, they might have some food that's left over that may be ready to expire that they may give to the Welland Food Bank. But other than that, this was specifically for the Pelham residents.
Councillor?
Thank you. So I understand from that if the permissive grant would not have been provided, this would have had no impact on the purchase and creation of the permanent home, that in fact it's the services that would be forestalled. It wouldn't be a case of then the money would be made available from the capital program in order to increase the services. I just want to know what the impact of that would be.
Can you answer that?
Yes. Their operating expenses annually are about $126,000, and this $18,000 goes towards those operating expenses, which have nothing to do with the grant, capital grant.
Okay. Thank you. Others? Councillor Kersey?
Along the same lines of thinking, it seems to me, and I couldn't find it, I was looking for it, but last year's financial statement from Pelham Cares indicated that they finished the year with a surplus of almost the same amount of money as what we gave them in their grant, and that money was transferred over to their capital fund. which seems to me it's in one pocket and out of that pocket and into the other pocket. So it begs the same question that Councilor Ribbiak has raised. What controls do we have that if they finish 2014 with the surplus of $17,000 or thereabouts, and then decide to roll it over into a capital fund, is follow the money?
Madam Clerk?
Well, I'm not certain that they rolled it over to the capital fund from their last year's equity base that they had. They're showing it in their financial statements, but they are showing a deficit to November of this year from what they provided in this financial statement in about the amount of the grant that we gave them
For 2013.
for 2013.
And that's different than the 2012 then.
That's right.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Would the council want, you said you were looking for certain information. Are you,
Well,
I don't know if
I
we
mean, I
have
just
that
wanna have-
provided. Do we have the 2012 financial statements?
I have
The package, I think, for the, maybe council to review. I guess there's some questions here, and we don't have the answers, to go back to what Councilor Gurley said earlier this evening. We don't have the answers on that specific question, so is there something that staff can provide to council to answer some of these questions, is what I'm asking. Was it the 2012?
It might be interesting
Financial
and
statements,
helpful
I think
for
it
us
was,
to
yeah.
get a series of financial statements going back a couple of years and just see how the performance of the organization is in terms of surplus and what they do with surplus and et cetera, et cetera. I think that would maybe give us a level of comfort that in fact we're not funding a capital project.
Okay. So can,
Certainly, I can communicate the financial statements that I did receive for 2012. It's consolidated like most, but the building fund is separate from the operating fund, and it shows the equity sitting in the operating fund on the financial statements, but I can distribute that to council.
okay. So if we approve this, maybe we can approve it with requesting that information. All right? Anything further on any of these items? Councilor Kersey?
I raised the issue of the Fawn Hill Lions Club request. They had brought a request to us earlier with respect to the sign, and we didn't deal with it at that time because we said, well, it might just fall under the parameters of the permissive grant. And now, lo and behold, it doesn't fall under the parameters of the permissive grant. So we probably should have known that at the time, that application was brought forward, and dealt with it at the time. And is it not part of the permissive grant because it, again, is a capital item as opposed to an operational issue?
Madam Clerk? Or Madam Treasurer, sorry.
Yes, on the premise, we weren't being requested to fund programs that required, subsidies for children or things that met the terms of what a permissive grant is about. We were asked to fund a capital item that did not belong to the town, which we determined, based on the committee, that it did not meet the requirements. But it is at council's discretion.
So it's at council's discretion whether it's a capital item or not? Or
No,
is it
the
at
permissive
council's
grant.
discretion
Whether to
to
fund it.
do anything? With
Essentially,
respect to-
based on the valuation criteria,
Yeah.
the discussions the CEO and I had this was not for any of the programs, the use of the parks, the use of any of the activities or waiving of any fees within the town. It was us contributing to a sign that would not be an asset of the town of Pelham's.
I guess I'm going to say this about this idea of a capital or a non-capital. In some cases, we have, well, let me ask the question here. With the Child Advocacy Center, that's a non-capital, right?
Yeah, it's a program delivery.
Program delivery. I'm thinking back, Councillor Durley and Councillor Papp and Councillor Lane, I think, to when that was made, we did a capital grant to that organization, but that was outside of the permissive grants. And we were a leader at that time.
Yeah,
We
especially as a
it was a
startup.
separate,
It was a
it was
startup.
for capital. So
That's right. It was.
maybe that needs to be to be clarified, the use of permissive grant for capital, and that's probably why there were questions for, in the case of Pelham Cares, as they enter into this capital campaign.
That's correct.
Okay. Anything further, Councillor Christie, with that information? Anything further from any others? So the recommendation is to approve it, but we're seeking additional information that will be available at our council meeting, okay? Going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. The next item is the corporate services report from the director. Questions, comments? It has been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Papp, that Committee of the Whole receive the December 2013 Corporate Services Monthly Report for information.
Questions?
Councillor Papp?
Well, I just, not a question, I guess clarification. Under item 6, it says that all the human resource policies have been completed and approved by council. But I know there's a couple that we have not approved, so I presume they'll be coming back. One was the vacation policy, right? So there's still some things that I take it that are still coming back to us,
Mr.
right?
Seow?
Is that correct?
That's correct. I think the intent here is that council has now seen all of the policies.
Seen them all.
There are still a couple of outstanding items
Right.
which will come to the next council meeting
That's fine.
to be dealt with.
Okay, great, thank you.
Great, thank you. Any others? Councillor Kersey?
Again, just a comment for clarity, under the dog park donations, the town is not collecting donations. The group from the community is raising funds and collecting, and we're merely acting as a conduit to hold the funds, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Right, we're collecting them on their behalf.
So I wonder if maybe those, do councillors want that kind of nuance changed, corrected in the reports, both the HR policy and the dog park? I'm seeing a nodding, so maybe, Madam Treasurer, you can just correct those two
Those
items.
At the time of writing this report, we were expecting the three that are left outstanding to come back to council, so it just was timing on this one.
Thank you for that. You satisfied if it's just tweaked a little? Okay?
Yeah, I think it's got to be clear that
Yeah.
we're not collecting money for the dog park, that we're actually acting as the holder of the funds for them.
Right.
Is that right?
That's correct.
We are collecting money through the town of Pelham, and that's the charitable receipt that's issued. It is not the committee that issues a charitable
So
receipt.
we issue, if I give you $500, you give me a charitable receipt from the town. So in effect, you are acting in that.
So that has a direct impact on the liability aspect of it as well, then, does it not?
That's,
It's a good question.
your question is, does that have a direct impact on the liability? I don't know if the CEO can answer that, and I believe council resolved in the resolution that we would do this. Is that not correct, Mr. CEO?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Let's make sure.
Any impact? Who wants to answer the impact, the liability impact from Councillor Kersey?
No, due to the fact we're a lower tier municipality, we're merely collecting on behalf of the Niagara region who owns the dog park.
Okay. Anything further? All right. Anything about the fire station number 3? Very pleased to see that the land has been complete. The town now owns it following the Committee of Adjustment process. Oh, it's in your report, that's right. It was in two of the reports, so maybe we'll wait to the CEO's report. Okay, thank you for that. Anything further? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. I knew I saw it somewhere. This is one of these overlapping report things. Thank you. Next, it has been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Papp, Committee of the Whole, received the December 2013 Corporate Services. Didn't we do that one? Public Works and Utilities Report for information. Moved by Durley, seconded by King. Discussion. Councillor Papp.
Through you to Mr. Mantle, thank you for clearing the sidewalk so I can walk my dog down the street. Your dog? Clear of all the snow, and thank you for removing. You've done a great job. Took care of the sod damage, I must say, because the first time we had, the second time, obviously, it's been improved, and it's been very well done. I have not received, unless, I know my colleagues have not received any further complaints at all.
Thank you, Mr. Mantle, thank you, and thanks to the staff for putting in the very detailed report on sidewalk snow clearing and how many kilometers and how long it's taken them for the 3 different times and how much snow we've received, which is a tremendous amount of snow, and kudos
Casey read
to
your
staff.
letter.
We received a lot of comments and from the community saying great job on the snow removal, so thank you very much for highlighting that. Thank you. Councillor Papp, something further?
No, nothing, I just, the other municipalities and friends I talked to can't believe that we're doing that, and I said, we are. And it's going very well, so a lot of eyes are watching this to see how it unfolds over the next few months. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Durley.
Worthy of mention, Mr. Mayor, thank you. The Pelham Street pedestrian
Yep.
crosswalk signals, this I think is, it was a very hot potato issue for a while, and it's very good to see that things are rolling on that the construction date is proposed to begin mid-April and should take about 4 weeks, and the crosswalks, signalized crosswalks will be at Churchill, Pancake End, the north entrance of Spruce Side. I think that is worthy of mention. It's I hope the press picks up on that, and I was hoping that Cogeco would pick up on that, because I know there's a lot of interested people out there, including the group at Glen A. Green and including the Pelham Active Transportation Committee that were very key players in bringing this about. So I think that an important thing to bring forward, and I think a lot of people will be very pleased. And thank you for all this.
Thank you, Councillor. Others? Councillor Ribbiak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With respect to Fenwick revitalization, good to see the work that's going on there, and really happy that we had a public meeting and got comments. One of the things that we received comments about was an item that is identified in the report itself, and that has to do with locations for above-ground components such as transformers and switching vaults. We get a lot of comments with regard to the proposed location of the transformer in the middle of the village, and I'm hoping that if that's the location that's going to be kept, that something creative is done about hiding it, maybe putting it underground in a caisson or something. But clearly nothing's going to ruin this entire effort nearly as much as sticking in components that just take away from both the beauty of the project as well as the utility of walking places and others.
So you're looking for a response from Mr.
I
Mannell?
am indeed.
Okay, Mr. Mannell, the councillor's looking for a response.
Bated breath.
There are, the switching vaults and the transformers have to go somewhere. They've been identified. Hydro One's completed their design based on that. They can be moved slightly. I think the one in front of the library, that will be relocated somewhere else. They can be moved fairly easily. The switching vaults, being as large as they are, they have to go somewhere, and the 2 locations that have been picked, one on Maple Street and one at the corner of Church and Canberra, I think they can be masked suitably with vegetation and what have you. We had the same issue around when we did the Fawn Hill component project, and there's 2 fairly large ones outside this building that need to be placed somewhere, and they just can't stick them. They're difficult to hide. So there's some shrubs planted around them. They're still fairly noticeable, but with time they should be masked.
Thank you, Mr. Mannell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to Mr. Mannell. Thank you. Of particular concern was the transformer and its location, and obviously you've taken that into consideration. I thank you very much for that.
Okay, thank you. Anything else on the director's report? I happen to have the opportunity to be at the arena for the public skate on Friday. It was well received, and the one thing that was missing was the music. And I see, Mr. Mannell, in your report, fond memories of that in my youth, circling around and doing that, and the music and holding hands, etc. Mr. Mannell, we do have a comment here about the arena sound system. Is there a timeline in terms of when that can be completed?
I believe it's imminent. They're still working with some of the bugs on that, I think, and it's supposed to be up and running. But I can't give you a date and a time.
Okay. Well, hopefully for your next report.
I hope so.
Before your next public skate.
Yeah, before my next public skate, which could come Friday, you never know. Okay, anything further? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. It's been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Lane. The Committee of the Whole received the December 2013 Community Planning and Development Services Report for information. Questions? There being none, ready? It's a good report, thank you very much. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. Well done, thank you. It's moved by Councillor Papp, seconded by Councillor Lane. Committee of the Whole received the December 2013 Fire and Bylaw Services Report for information. Any discussion items on that? I would like to comment, and the CAO made this change. It says effective January 1st, the crossing guards will report to the bylaw division. There was a meeting back in December with the crossing guards, and a nice sort of Christmas gathering to thank them for their service. And on behalf of council, I thank them for their service, for being out there in the cold and the wet and the sun, and being such great ambassadors for the community. And I think they're going to have fun in bylaw. I know Craig was very pleased in kibitzing and having fun with them, so it should be a good place for them to be as well. So thank you for taking that on, Chief.
You took them shopping.
You took them shopping and for appropriate equipment. Good. Thank you. Anything further? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Question is, did he hold hands? That's the question.
I don't want to know.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Lane, second by Councillor King. The Committee of the Whole received the December 2013 Recreation, Culture, and Wellness Department report for information. Anything? Councillor Kersey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a very quick comment about Christmas in Pelham. I thought it was an outstanding job this year. It was very well organized. It certainly highlighted Christmas in Pelham, and I think our staff did a fantastic job, and I hope Ms. Van Ravensway will take that back to her crew, and look
you,
forward
Councillor.
to what's to come for 2014.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Van Ravensway, for that. And to that, very pleased to see that Summerfest is meeting as well. So thank you as well. There's so many community volunteers, especially in the Recreation, Culture, and Wellness Department that improve the community and work to do that each and every day. So thank you very much to those volunteers for doing that. Anything further? And the staff that work with them so closely. Thank you, Ms. Van Ravensway. Councillor Papp.
Quickly, Mr. Mayor, you and I met with some, and I think it's related, I mean, we need to follow up on the parking situation with the concert series. We've got to start.
Ms. Van Ravensway, can you give us an
Can you give
update
me
on
a-
that?
It's not
There's-
on here. Can you tell us what's going on with that? Because I know we were going to,
Mr. Mayor, we, actually, we have a meeting on Thursday with the
Okay.
farmers market to specifically discuss their parking. And we have a meeting coming up in the next week or so with the band shell committee
oh,
as
you are
well.
meeting with them?
Yes,
Okay, good.
to address,
Okay.
So it's a parking plan and an emergency management plan. That's right.
Perfect.
they've
Thank you.
already been working on it, their groups, and we're going to be meeting with
Okay.
them.
I hadn't heard, so that's good to
And
hear.
we'll report back to
Okay,
council.
thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Anything further? Thank you for asking that. Anything further? Nothing? All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. We look forward to those results as well. Thank you. It has been moved by Councillor Papp, seconded by Councillor Lane. The Committee of the Whole received the December 2013 Clerk's Department report for information. On that, I'm trying to get to it here. There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Amazing statistics, actually, when you
What those,
look at how they've changed through the years, and thank you for tracking that. It really gives an indication of the level of work that your department and each department does when those statistics are included, so thank you for that. The next motion has been moved by Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Durley. Committee of the Whole received the December 2013 Chief Administrative Officer's report for information. Councillor Kersey.
I basically just have a question with respect to Peace Park. I was under the impression that we were expecting a second report coming back with respect to Peace Park regarding total costing for the project and phasing and all of that sort of thing prior to us going out to tender. And it appears that it's already a fait accompli.
No, my understanding was that we needed to get the costing done by going out to for call for proposals on that, and then also included in that is the phasing component, so that we'll hear back from applicants on how they plan to phase us, not to disrupt those two events, the farmers market and the band shell. So, but before we can sharpen the pencil on the numbers, we need to know what the market's willing to pay.
So we can expect a report back to us prior to hiring the proponent.
There may well be costs that we don't know or haven't budgeted, so there may be a request. Either way, we'll come back and inform council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further on that Peace Park? No? Okay. Councillor Ribbiak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to follow up on where you were going earlier with respect to Fire Station 3, perhaps the CAO will give us a bit of a fleshing out of his brief report there. Tell us who Charter Inc. is, for example, and what the stages are, what the dates are.
Well, I'll just start by saying that my procrastination on doing my monthly report paid off, because I managed to slip this in at the 12th hour that we'd actually awarded the tender and beat Kerry and Bob both to the punch. So I'm very happy to make the announcement on behalf of them. They've actually done the majority of the work, so I can't claim that, but the tender process, obviously the call for proposals ended. We have a committee made up of staff and a good percentage of volunteer firefighters from Station 3. They went through the proposals and shortlisted down to three proponents. We then set up presentation interviews for each of those companies, and they came in and did a presentation to the group. And then it was a decision of the group which of the three they felt was that scored the highest on the scoring, but also was going to provide the type of station that the firefighters needed in that area. The land itself, the land is all but purchased. I believe it closes the end of this month, so that's now become a formality. A PO, as I've indicated, has been issued just for the design, because this is a design build. So the design phase will take place first. That'll be, how the place is laid out, offices and what type of materials, all those sorts of things. And then once that's been determined, we'll have a firm price on the build, and then a PO will be issued on the build side. We're hoping, Charter is a regional company. We've dealt with them before. They actually built this portion of our office, so we do have comfort in their abilities. They've indicated to us that the project could be completed by, I believe they had said July, although I'm not confident that's realistic. I'm thinking probably September. But we'll be as aggressive as we can, and we want to have that ribbon cut early in the fall and that hall up in use. So, and I don't know if there's anything the fire chief or the treasurer would like to add. I am totally stealing their thunder, just so everyone knows.
Thank you. Anything further from those whose thunder has been stolen? Chief, Treasurer? No? Okay. Thank you. Councillor?
Yeah, just to say that I'm really, really pleased that this is going ahead. I know that we were involved, Councillor Papp and myself, in the early stages of the planning of this thing, and it was taken over with a great deal of enthusiasm and wholeheartedness by staff and everyone involved, and it's going along really well. Very happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thanks to staff for doing that. I know there's a lot of work associated with the scoring of that and debriefing after scoring, etc. So thank you for that. Anything further on the CAO's report? And I think you stole some thunder perhaps from the presenter on the recreational business case as well. So that's outlined here as well and what's there. So thank you for doing that as well. You knew in advance what they were presenting. So thank you. Anything further? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? None opposed. The motion is carried. It's been moved by Councillor Papp, seconded by Councillor Lane. This regular meeting of Committee of the Whole be adjourned until the next regular meeting scheduled for Monday, January 20th, 2014, unless sooner called by the Mayor. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.